What if everything you've ever believed about survival was wrong? Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine standing face to face with a saber-toothed tiger. Your heart pounds, your breath sharpens, every cell in your body screams one thing: survive. Now open your eyes. Because here's the twist. You're not in a prehistoric jungle. You're sitting in traffic, or scrolling through your phone, or lying awake at 2 a.m., thinking about bills, deadlines, expectations, and the crushing weight of modern life. And yet, your brain reacts exactly as if that saber-toothed tiger is still right there. This is the true battle for survival. Not against wild beasts, not against freezing nights, not against starvation, but against the threats your mind creates every single day. Today, we're going to explore how your prehistoric wiring is fighting a war in a world it was never designed for. A world full of notifications instead of predators, stress instead of storms, isolation instead of tribes. And most importantly, we're going to uncover how you can reclaim control over the ancient instincts ruling your life. This is the psychology of survival. Beyond fear, beyond stress, beyond instinct. This is about you. To understand survival in the 21st century, we have to travel back, way back, to a time before history, before language, before civilization itself. A time when your ancestors walked the earth not as apex predators, but as terrified mammals, hunted day and night. For them, survival wasn't an idea. It was a heartbeat, a moment-to-moment calculation, a constant scanning of shadows. Your brain comes from them, not from your teachers, not from the city you grew up in, not from your phone, your school, your country, or your culture. The oldest part of your brain, the part that reacts to threat, is nearly 2 million years old. It doesn't know what rent is, what an email is, what an argument with your partner means, what loneliness is, what social media is. All it knows is this: if something feels overwhelming, it might kill you. React fast, react hard, or you don't survive. That's why your heart races during a work presentation, why your stomach knots when your phone rings, why your mind spirals at night, why criticism hurts as much as physical danger, why rejection feels lethal. Because to your brain, it is. It's not malfunctioning. It's doing its job, a job it learned before fire was invented. But here's the paradox. The instincts that kept your ancestors alive might be the very instincts holding you back today. Let's talk about fear. Not the fear of cliffs or wild animals, but the fear of something far more powerful, the fear inside your own mind. You see, fear has a job: to protect you. But prehistoric fear came with one rule. If something feels dangerous, act immediately. There was no time for analysis, no time for reflection, no time for emotional processing. A rustle in the bushes? Run. A strange noise at night? Hide. A rival tribe approaching? Fight. Fast decisions meant survival. Hesitation meant death. Fast forward to now, your instincts still follow the same rule. Someone criticizes you online? your heartbeat spikes. You get a notification from your boss, your stomach drops. A relationship starts to crumble, your brain fires as if your life is in danger. This is called the threat response, and it hasn't changed in 2 million years. But the threats have. Ancient threats were physical. Modern threats are psychological. Yet your brain doesn't know the difference. It has one operating system: survive at all costs. Here's the truth almost nobody tells you. You're not anxious because you're weak. You're anxious because your brain evolved in a world that bears no resemblance to the one you live in now. And every day, your ancient instincts collide with your modern life.
Let's look at something most people don't realize. Humans didn't survive because we were strong. We survived because we were connected. Your ancestors depended on their tribe for everything: warmth, protection, food, safety, identity. To be rejected was to die. That's why social anxiety hurts so much. Why being ignored feels painful. Why loneliness feels physically heavy. Why approval matters more than we want to admit. Your brain interprets social isolation as a survival threat, because for 200,000 years, it was. But here's the twist. You live in a world where millions of people can communicate instantly, and yet we're more isolated than ever. We evolved to live in tribes of 50 to 150 people. Today, many people feel like they belong nowhere. Your brain isn't built for this. It's trying to understand a world that no human in history had to face. And in that confusion, survival instinct kicks in again. Overthinking, defensiveness, fear of judgment, fear of abandonment, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. It's not your fault. It's evolution. But evolution can be hacked once you understand the systems behind your emotions. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Your body wasn't designed for long-term stress. It was designed for short bursts of survival. Sprinting from danger, fighting for your life, escaping predators, then resting. But today, your stress never stops. There's always another message, another expectation, another pressure pushing your nervous system into overdrive. When your ancestors escaped danger, their bodies returned to calm. Today, you don't escape. You scroll, you obsess, you ruminate, you replay conversations, you imagine worst-case scenarios. Your stress response, built to last minutes, is now active for hours, days, weeks, sometimes years. This doesn't just affect your emotions, it affects everything. Your immune system weakens, your memory declines, your focus collapses, your digestion slows, your sleep breaks, your decision-making becomes erratic. This is the survival paradox. Your ancient instincts are trying to keep you alive, but in the modern world, they're harming you instead. And yet, in this paradox lies your power. Because once you understand the system, you can take back control. So here's the big question. If our instincts are outdated, how do we survive today's world? Not the world of predators and cliffs, but the world of pressure, distraction, competition, expectation, and endless uncertainty. What is the survival skill of the 21st century? It's not strength, not speed, not fearlessness. It's awareness. The ability to recognize that your emotions aren't always telling the truth. They're telling the ancient truth. Your fear is 2 million years old. Your stress is tribal. Your reactions come from ancestors who never even imagined the modern world. The real survival skill today is learning how to pause in a world that tries to push you into reacting instantly. Modern resilience isn't about fighting harder. It's about understanding yourself deeper. Because once you understand the prehistoric code running your life, you can finally rewrite it.
Before we go deeper into the psychology of survival, I want you to think about something extraordinary. You are here today, watching this video, breathing, existing, because every single one of your ancestors survived. Every single one. Not a single link in your chain of life broke. Not one. They outran predators. They endured winters. They survived plagues, earthquakes, famines, wars. They escaped rival tribes. They protected their young. They fought. They adapted. They didn't give up. And everything they learned, every instinct, every fear, every reflex, lives inside you. Your brain is not new. It is ancient, a layered fossil of survival strategies that were refined through suffering, danger, and adaptation. You are the final product of millions of years of successful survivors. So when you feel anxious, when you feel afraid, when you feel overwhelmed, it's not weakness. It's your biology doing exactly what it was designed to do. In fact, your fear is proof that you come from survivors. But here's the conflict. Your world changed. Your brain didn't. And that creates a tension that shapes almost everything you feel. Let's explore one of the most important truths about human psychology. Your emotions are modified survival instincts. They are not random. They are not abstract. They are not philosophical. They are biological signals evolved to keep you alive. Fear evolved to protect you. Anger evolved to fight threats. Sadness evolved to seek help and rest. Anxiety evolved to prepare you for danger. Jealousy evolved to secure relationships in the tribe. Shame evolved to keep you from being rejected. Love evolved to bond tribes and families together. Curiosity evolved to help you explore and innovate. Everything you feel, every emotion, every impulse, every reaction comes from a deep evolutionary purpose. But the world these emotions evolved for no longer exists. Your brain still thinks you belong to a tribe in the grasslands, but instead, you live in cities with millions of strangers. Your mind still thinks danger comes from predators, but instead, danger comes from overthinking, pressure, expectations, loneliness, and uncertainty. Your instincts interpret digital triggers as physical threats. A mean comment online activates the same circuits that used to warn your ancestors about tribal rejection. A stressful email activates the same adrenaline that helped ancient humans run from danger. The more you understand this, the more you realize your emotional reactions make sense in the wrong world. You're not broken, you're mismatched. Let's talk about something psychologists call mismatch theory. It means
Your brain is running Stone Age software in a space age environment. Here's how that mismatch shows up today. Your ancestors constantly scanned for danger. A rustle, a shadow, a sudden movement could be life or death. Today, you scan too, but not the environment. You scan your thoughts. You replay conversations. You imagine worst-case scenarios. You analyze tiny details. You try to predict the future. Your brain does this because searching for threats kept your ancestors alive. But now the threats are internal, so the scanning never stops. For ancient humans, being rejected by the tribe meant starvation or death. Today, rejection isn't fatal, but your brain still reacts as if it is. That's why a job interview feels terrifying. A presentation feels like a threat. A date feels like survival. Posting online feels risky. Being judged feels painful. Your brain believes your life depends on acceptance, because for most of human history, it did. Your ancestors only felt stress during actual danger. You feel stress while driving, while waiting for a text back, while paying bills, while scrolling through news, while trying to sleep. Your body activates survival mode dozens of times a day, even though nothing physically threatens you. Your heart races, your digestion shuts down, your thinking becomes chaotic. Your body prepares to fight or flee, but there's nowhere to run and nothing to fight. This is the modern saber-tooth, invisible, psychological, relentless.
Here's a truth people rarely admit. Humans break easily. We break mentally, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically. But here's the twist. We also rebuild. Your ancestors didn't survive because they were unbreakable. They survived because they were flexible, able to adapt, adjust, recover. Resilience is not the ability to avoid breaking. It's the ability to break and heal again and again. Think of trees in the wind. A rigid tree snaps. A flexible tree bends and survives. You were not built to be a rock. You were built to withstand storms by adapting. The modern world pressures you to be strong. Never cry, never struggle, never pause. But your biology tells a different story. Your nervous system evolved for cycles of stress and rest, not constant pressure, not endless productivity, not emotional suppression. Your ancestors survived because they allowed themselves to break down and rebuild. That's real strength, biological strength, human strength. One of the most powerful concepts in survival psychology is something called the trauma loop. Here's what it means. When ancient humans experienced danger, they either escaped it or died from it. There was no unfinished stress, no unresolved fear, no emotional backlog. Today, when something scares you, you don't fight and you don't flee. You freeze, you suppress, you endure. You try to stay professional, polite, calm. Your body doesn't complete the survival cycle. So the fear stays stuck. The energy stays trapped. The instinct remains unfinished. This creates overthinking, insomnia, rage outbursts, emotional numbness, anxiety attacks, burnout, physical tension, chronic fatigue. Your body is trying to finish a survival response that your modern environment forbids.
You're not overwhelmed because you're weak. You're overwhelmed because your biology is stuck in an ancient loop with no physical escape. This is why healing matters, not because you're broken, but because your instincts never got to finish what they started. Inside your skull, two worlds are fighting: a prehistoric world and a modern one. On one side, the limbic system, older than civilization, emotion-driven, instinctive, reactive, fast. On the other side, the prefrontal cortex, the newest part of your brain, logical, long-term, self-aware, slow. These two systems are constantly clashing. Your instincts say, react now. Your logic says, think first. Your instincts say, protect yourself. Your logic says, be reasonable. Your instincts say, they're judging you. Your logic says, they're just busy. Your instincts say, run. Your logic says, stay. Your brain isn't working against you. It's protecting you using ancient rules in a modern environment. Survival today is not about fighting predators. It's about managing this internal war between instinct and logic. And here's the beautiful part. You can train your brain to create peace between the two. But first, you have to understand them. You can't change a system you don't understand. And that's why awareness is the first modern survival skill. Awareness doesn't mean overthinking. It doesn't mean analyzing endlessly. It doesn't mean becoming emotionless. Awareness means recognizing the ancient code behind your reactions. When you feel anxious, don't ask, what's wrong with me? Ask, what ancient instinct is being activated? When you feel stressed, don't say, I can't handle this. Say, my brain thinks I'm in danger. When you feel ashamed, don't think, I'm not enough. Think, my brain is trying to protect me from rejection. Awareness interrupts the instinct. It gives you a moment of power, a moment your ancestors never had, because they didn't have time to reflect. They had to act. But you can pause. And that pause is the beginning of modern resilience.
There is a survival instinct almost nobody talks about. It's not fear of danger, not fear of the unknown, not even fear of death. It's the fear of your own potential. Because for most of human history, being too visible, being too powerful, being too different, being too ambitious was dangerous. Standing out from the tribe made you a target. Innovating too quickly made the tribe suspicious. Challenging old systems put you at risk. Your ancestors needed the tribe's protection, so their instincts kept them aligned, contained, safe within the group. And that instinct still controls you today. That's why taking risks feels terrifying, why succeeding feels uncomfortable, why stepping into your power feels unnatural, why being seen feels like exposure. Deep down, your ancient brain whispers, stay small, stay quiet, stay safe. But here's the truth. Your fear of failure and your fear of success come from the same place, ancient survival programming. You're not scared of growth. You're scared of visibility. You're not scared of dreams. You're scared of danger. Your ancestors survived by hiding. You survive by evolving. Today, the thing that once kept you safe may be the very thing holding you back. Let's explore something deeper, something passed down quietly from generation to generation. Trauma
is not just personal, it is ancestral. When your ancestors experienced famine, their bodies adapted, and their descendants inherited those adaptations. When they lived through war, their nervous systems learned to remain hyper-alert, and you inherited that alertness. When they endured poverty, loss, and struggle, their survival instincts sharpened, and those instincts became part of your biology. Scientists call this epigenetic inheritance, the passing of survival responses through DNA and behavior.
This means your anxiety may not have started with you. Your fear may not have begun in your lifetime. Your survival instincts may be older than your own memories.
Your body carries stories you never lived. But here's the important part. You also inherited strength, resilience, adaptation, courage, ingenuity, hope. Your ancestors didn't just give you trauma, they gave you survival skills. You are standing today because they kept getting back up. And the healing you do now isn't just for you. It breaks the cycle for the generations ahead. When you heal, you rewrite the psychological blueprint of your entire bloodline. Let's talk about something the modern world often ignores. Loneliness is deadly. Not metaphorically, biologically.
To your prehistoric brain, loneliness means vulnerability, isolation, predation. Humans were never meant to survive alone.
And yet, in the most connected era in human history, we're more disconnected than ever. You can talk to thousands of people online and still have nobody to call when you're hurting.
You can scroll for hours and still feel empty. You can live in a city of millions and still feel invisible. Loneliness activates the same neural circuits as physical pain.
It increases stress hormones, weakens the immune system, sharpens the threat response, alters sleep patterns, increases anxiety and depression. The reason is simple. Your brain believes that being alone means you might not survive. That's why heartbreak hurts physically, why friendships ending feel devastating, why abandonment feels primal, why we chase validation, approval, connection, not out of vanity, but out of biology. Connection is survival. Always has been, always will be. The modern world tricks you into believing you should do everything alone, but your survival instincts know better. You thrive in community.
You heal through relationships. You evolve through connection. Here's a counterintuitive truth, one many people never realize. Sometimes you become addicted to your own stress.
Not consciously, biologically. Stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, were designed for emergencies. But today, your body releases them constantly. And over time, your nervous system adapts. It gets used to the chaos. It becomes familiar, predictable, comfortable. This is why you feel restless when things are calm. You overthink when life is stable. You create problems when none exist. You sabotage peace without understanding why. Your body is searching for the stress levels it has become conditioned to. It's not self-destructive instinct. It's survival instinct. Your brain believes stress means alertness. Alertness means survival. So your mind recreates the emotional environment that feels biologically safe, even when it's mentally harmful. Breaking stress addiction is like teaching your brain a new definition of safety. Not chaos, not danger, not survival mode, but calm, peace, steadiness, stillness. Your brain must learn that peace isn't a threat, that calm isn't vulnerability, that stability isn't danger. You don't just escape survival mode. You have to retrain your nervous system to live without it. Because once you do, you'll no longer chase the stress hormones around.
Let's explore a survival instinct that drives modern life more than any other. The instinct of never enough. For ancient humans, resources were scarce. Food, water, shelter, tools, allies. Your ancestors survived by constantly scanning for more. More safety, more food, more security, more belonging, more territory. And today, your brain still works the same way. That's why you feel not successful enough, not attractive enough, not productive enough, not wealthy enough, not confident enough, not loved enough, not safe enough, not anything enough. Your brain is wired to search for more, even when you already have enough, even when you've succeeded, even when you've grown, even when you've changed. This instinct is why modern society feels like a constant race, a race with no finish line. But here's the truth. Your ancestors needed this instinct. You don't. The world has changed. The instinct hasn't. Recognizing this is the first step to freedom. Overthinking feels modern, but it's actually ancient. Your ancestors didn't have time to endlessly analyze decisions, but they did have time to remember danger. Overthinking is a survival strategy that evolved to prevent repeated mistakes. If touching a poisonous plant almost killed your ancestor, their brain replayed the memory constantly to prevent future danger. Today, your brain uses the same mechanism, but for emotional threats. You replay failures, arguments, embarrassing moments, rejections, fears, uncertainties. Your brain is not torturing you, it's preparing you. But the preparation becomes a prison when the threat is not real, when the danger is psychological, not physical. Overthinking consumes energy, time, and emotional stability. But once you understand why your brain does it, you can begin to release it. Humans are the only species that can imagine the future. This ability made us innovators, explorers, builders, but it also made us fearful, anxious, overwhelmed. Future fear is a survival instinct designed to help your ancestors prepare for upcoming winters, predators, dangers. But today, you fear things that haven't happened yet, might never happen, exist only in imagination. Your brain creates entire scenes of potential danger. What if I fail? What if they leave? What if I lose everything? What if tomorrow is worse? What if I'm not ready? What if life collapses? Your ancestors needed this instinct to prepare. You use it to torture yourself. But once you understand this is biology, not destiny, you can rewrite your relationship with the future. Parts ahead will explore identity and evolution, fear as an internal compass, the psychology of resilience, how to update your ancient brain, tools for emotional reprogramming, the science of calm, and final transformation message.
The forest is never still. Even when the wind sleeps and the sun hangs like molten gold between the branches, There are eyes watching, silent, hidden, waiting. Because in the evolutionary arms race, one strategy has outperformed teeth, claws, and venom: disappearance. Not by running, not by hiding behind trees, but by bending reality itself. Nature's masters of invisibility don't just blend in with the background, they erase their presence from the world. And today, you're about to step into the strange, genius, almost supernatural engineering that makes that possible. The moment you see nothing. Picture this. A leaf. Just a leaf. Sitting quietly on a branch of a tall guava tree in the western Ghats of India. Light breeze, rustling sound, everything normal. But that leaf is not a leaf. It has veins, but they are too perfect. It has tears and chew marks, but nobody chewed it. It hangs at an angle, but it's not attached to anything. Then, the leaf suddenly blinks. You freeze. Because you just met one of evolution's most brilliant illusions, the leaf insect. To predators, it is invisible. To the forest, it is just another leaf. But look closer. Every nerve in its body, every pigment in its skin, every tiny bump on its wings exists for one purpose: to deceive the brain of anything that looks at it. This isn't camouflage. This is psychological warfare. The science of vanishing. You see, most animals don't truly see the world. They interpret patterns. Break the pattern, and you break the brain. Predators expect things to move to reflect light in a certain way, to cast shadows, to show contrast, to interrupt symmetry. So the masters of invisibility do the opposite. They neutralize those rules. They soften their edges. They mimic light direction. They copy textures. They mirror motion. They match color changes through the day. It's not a costume. It's a mathematical algorithm for survival. The octopus, the shapeless genius. But deep under the ocean surface, the game changes, because here lives the undisputed god of invisibility, the octopus. A creature with no bones, no armor, no scales, yet capable of pulling off transformations that would make a Hollywood VFX studio jealous. One moment, it's a glowing blue alien gliding over coral. Next moment, it melts into the seabed like spilled ink. Not blending, vanishing. How? Skin that thinks. Scientists discovered something insane. Octopus skin has its own light-detecting cells, meaning it can see without eyes. It doesn't wait for the brain to send orders. Its skin reacts directly to light, instant changes, instant patterns. It can shift color, texture, and even 3D structure in milliseconds. Imagine your skin turning into brick, or fur, or wood grain the instant someone looks at you. That's the octopus. A shapeshifter, a ghost, a disappearing act in real time. The hunter who doesn't become invisible, it makes you blind. In the swirling deserts of North Africa, another creature plays a different game. The Saharan horned viper doesn't need to vanish. It does something even smarter. It vanishes your ability to see. It swims under the sand, burying itself inch by inch until only its horned eyes remain. The sand becomes its cloak. But here's the sinister part. When prey approaches, it doesn't move. It lets the heat distortions from the sun bend around it, making it invisible to infrared sensing animals. In simple terms, it hides not from the eye, but from the brain's understanding of heat. A camouflage that works even in total darkness. The plant that mimics the dead.
Even plants fight this war. Some orchids evolved to look like rotting meat, but not for defense, for seduction. Flies mistake them for decomposing corpses. They lay eggs on them, thinking their larvae will feast. But there is no feast. The orchid tricks them into pollination. This is deception on a biological level, an entire species built around a lie. Nature isn't peaceful. It's a battleground of manipulation. The ghost frog of Madagascar. Deep in Madagascar's rain-soaked mountains, there is a frog that looks like it's made of wet stone. Moss-green patches, irregular bumps, damp shine. Placed on a rock, it becomes the rock. Placed on a log, it becomes bark. Not because it changes color, but because it is carved by evolution to look like a piece of the forest. A living artifact. Predators almost never see it. Some scientists have walked past dozens of them without noticing a single one. This creature doesn't hide. It exists outside detection. The cost of invisibility. But every superpower has a price. Animals that are invisible are often fragile, slow, defenseless, dependent on environment, trapped by their own trick. A leaf insect that falls onto the ground becomes obvious. A camouflaged frog exposed on the wrong background becomes a target. Invisibility is powerful, but it is also a cage. The next threat. Because in the next part, we travel deeper into the nightmare, where invisibility ends and biological manipulation begins. Where creatures don't just vanish, they control other animals like puppets. Prepare for the most disturbing strategies evolution ever designed.